Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, ends up.
Yes!
Caught! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's going on, guys? It's Rampage coming at you with another video, and in today's video, guys, we're going to be talking about a very unpopular opinion for the Detroit Lions in the 2023 NFL Draft. This video is brought to you by a community poll I did through the channel, and I think this is the way I'm going to be going forward about different video ideas, or just comment down below what you want to see. I feel like this is the most effective way and really fun way for me, so make sure to let me know what you guys want to see because I really get a kick out of it. But before we get into today's video, if you guys could do me a huge favor and leave a like on this video because it always does help me out. It pushes me out into the algorithm, as you know, and you guys have been absolutely killing it with the Lions stuff lately, and I appreciate it as always. And subscribe if you're new. Again, it helps the channel. But getting right into it, recently there's been a lot of discussion with what the Lions will do with their first two draft picks this year in the NFL draft, and you know, looking at various different mocks and coming to my own conclusion, I feel like we all really don't have an exact perspective or idea what the Lions will do. Many mocks have the Lions picking corners, defensive tackles, edges, and yes, as we already all know, the dreaded QB at either pick 6 or 18. I don't think they'll end up picking a QB in the first round. I'm sorry that Anthony Richardson in the thumbnail was kind of a little bit of a clickbait. I don't think they'll end up picking him in the first round, as much as I would love him to develop behind Goff. He would be pretty sweet in Ben Johnson's offense. I don't think they're going to pick him. I think they're also going to maybe entertain the prospect of trading back to teams that are a lot more desperate for QBs at this time. But in my own personal opinion, I don't think they're going to trade back. I think that position in the draft is way too valuable for them to trade back unless they get an absurd deal. I'm also going to be walking back on my mock draft that I had a month ago, having Jalen Carter at number 6, because the cornerbacks absolutely blew it out of the water at the combine this year. I think they're going to have to pick a cornerback at number 6. Ultimately, I think that's going to still be Christian Gonzalez. He just is insane. I mean, what he did at the combine was just ludicrous to me, and he looks like the best cornerback outside of Devin Witherspoon, who didn't really participate fully because of fear he could tear his ACL because he had it strained. And ultimately, I'm okay with them picking a cornerback at that. You know, I wasn't so first about a month ago. I was like kind of hesitant for them. I thought they really needed another force on the defensive line, but they could get that later in the draft. This class is really deep, kind of going into the late second to early third round, and that seems to be where Bradley Holmes strikes the most, so I'm comfortable with them doing that. I may be going out on a limb here, but I ultimately think at pick number 18 they're going to make a spicy pick that a lot of us aren't going to agree with, but I think they could do it for a variety of reasons. The two spicy guys I could see people getting their panties in a bunch about are Bijan Robinson and Osiris Torrance, the guard from Florida. I think ultimately, and now this time, you have to kind of be comfortable with the uncomfortable in this regime and what the Lions are going to be doing. They're going to be looking for not necessarily the best value, what's going to fit specifically on their team, but the best position as possible. And I feel like these two individuals meet that in merit fully. And when you look at the guard situation for the Lions in 2023, especially with Vaitai, they have the option to release him, or cut him, excuse me. And if they do it post June 1st, they will save about $10 million in the cap. If they do so right now, they'll save about $6.5 million. I really didn't like when he signed here the last year of Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia's regime. He signed a 5-year, $45 million deal. It just wasn't great from the start. However, I do like how he was able to help develop Penei Sewell, you know, become the leader that he is and the strong boat that he is on the offensive line. But just with his injury, especially that back injury he had after the preseason game against the Steelers, and ultimately the surgery, I think it's time to move on from him. You know, you can get somebody better like Osiris Torrance, and I don't think that anyone suitable for replacement is on this roster currently. Plus, we have to look towards the future. Jonah Jackson's going to want to get paid big bucks next year. They could decide to pay him this year and do just a signing bonus, and then future hits come up in the next coming years. I think the draft is the way to go here ultimately. Because if you draft Torrance, you're not only going to be in contention for a top 5 offensive line in the league, you could be in conversation for the best offensive line in the league, despite him being a rookie. Being that the Lions have a lot of familiarity with the Florida system, having a lot of scouts down there throughout the year, they ultimately are going to know this guy's strengths. And what I find absolutely fucking bananas, I'm sorry for swearing, but Torrance is the only 4-year starter ever scouted that has not allowed a single sack during his career. And mind you, his career is over 3,000 snaps played. That's just dirty. Imagine that here. And you guys remember the Larry Allen days with the Cowboys and 49ers? He's a mauler, especially in the run game, and I think that'll ultimately boost DeAndre Swift's confidence if he does stay around. Torrance is going to help in the run game immensely, especially in his speed, considering he's 300 pounds, and he has a good understanding of angles when climbing upfield. Imagine that with Penei Sewell. For my second unpopular opinion at 18, I ultimately could see the Lions picking running back Bijan Robinson. And I know I'm going to get a lot of crap from this, but I don't care. Bijan is one of the top running backs to come out in the last 10 years, next to Saquon Barkley. When you watch him, I honestly feel like this is a Barry Sanders reincarnation. Yes, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. Just the way he handles his run game and just watching him, he plays with the tenacity and fearlessness that Barry had. And today it came out that he actually tries to model his game after Barry Sanders. Look, and I love DeAndre Swift, don't get me wrong. I feel like we all love DeAndre Swift. We want him to be healthy, and when he's healthy, he's like insane when he's healthy, especially when you look at the first couple weeks of last season and towards the end of, like in Green Bay. The guy was playing out of his mind. As Ryan Matthews says from Pride of Detroit, the best ability is availability, and DeAndre Swift just doesn't have that. Plus, does anyone else stand up in the middle of a Lions game and yell at the TV, "What the fuck are you doing to Swift?" Just because Swift, I feel like, plays in his head sometimes and isn't always there. Like, he defeats himself before the play even begins. Like, just run upfield, dude. Again, I'm not hating on Swift by any means. I loved when they picked him. I think he can still be great for the Lions, but what you're getting with Bijan is a more consistent player and somebody that has the availability. Remember week 1 when DeAndre Swift ran for 150 yards? Do you want a player that had 9 out of 12 games with over 100 yards rushing and 18 touchdowns? Our offense would automatically be number 1 if this guy were to be drafted. What I really like from Bijan as a player is he's aggressive and willing, and he's able to have a really good vision and a knack for picking out cut back lanes and breaking off chunks of yardage when he gets through the right holes. Plus his agility for being that big of a back and having enough speed, he literally can go to the end zone every time. Again, I'm not hating on DeAndre Swift. I think he's very well capable in this offense. He just doesn't provide the consistency that Bijan Robinson can. Another 2 draft prospects I could see the Lions picking up in this draft class are Luke Van Ness at 18, or they might have to trade up to get him if they want to pair him with Aiden Hutchinson. He would be another force. I think they're kind of okay on the defensive line. They might need to bring in a tackle, whether that's free agency or later on in the draft. And Hendon Hooker, Bradley Holmes talked about wanting to, get a sound backup for Goff, and Hendon Hooker would be a perfect developmental back behind Goff and somebody that I think they would really like, being that Ray Agnew talked to him at the Reese's Senior Bowl. And Brad Holmes addressed it this week that they need to. But I don't know, guys. Those are my unpopular opinions. Let me know what you guys think down below. I always love having conversations with each and every single one of you. It helps me get the mind and the state of the franchise and the fan base where everyone's at and their thought process going forward with this team. As always, if you did like this video, please remember to leave a like because it does help me out. And I'll see you guys next time.